What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, all between? Fred, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing great, V, and how are you, buddy?
Good, good. And as everyone knows, Fred's filling in for Jason as Jason's mom took a fall, so he's got more important things to do than hang out with the likes of us. But
Yeah,
he's
so
dying that he's missing talking to Matt today, I gotta say.
Jason being the bass player that he is today. And today we've got Matt Bissonette. And if you don't recognize the name, I can guarantee you you've heard his music. He's played bass and other stringed instruments and sang on at least 22 albums with music styles ranging from jazz, jazz fusion, progressive metal, and instrumental rock. He's performed or collaborated with, just to name a few, Ryan Wilson, Joe Satriani, Don Henley, Steve Perry, Peter Frampton, Rick Springfield, Ringo Starr, Elton John, REO Speedwagon, currently on tour with Kevin Cronin. It would actually be easier to name the artists he hasn't played with than the ones he has. Matt also has a new album with the Squirts that was released earlier this year. We'll talk about that as well. So there's obviously a lot to talk about. So please welcome to Creativity Talking, Matt Bissonette.
What's happening?
Hi, Matt.
I love it. You guys
Matt
are so
coming
cool.
to us
I like
from
you
the
guys got
tour
all that
bus.
cool stuff.
Yeah. So you're coming to us from the tour
Yes.
bus today. That's awesome. And I got to say, Matt, researching you and your career for this interview, I was floored. I mean, I didn't even know where to start asking questions because you've had such a remarkable career. You've played with and performed with so many iconic musicians over the years. I said, how do we start this interview? And of course, we'll talk about the latest release with the Squirts a little bit later on. But I'm thinking it's best to start with your journey into music. I know your music runs in your family. Your dad and brother both played drums. Your mom played piano. So growing up, what music surrounded you? And I know you started at a very early age. So can you hit the Wayback Machine and tell us your journey into music?
The Wayback Machine. I like that. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. You guys are awesome. Thanks for putting all that work into those pictures, man. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
I feel like
it took me like an hour to get all the band names.
I feel
and
like a
love
male
every
super.
second of it, man.
Oh, God bless you guys. You guys are cool. Pushing the button way back. I mean, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan,
Mhm.
and my dad, my mom were musicians, and my brother started playing drums probably when he was about 12, and I was 2 years younger than Greg. So I didn't
Mhm.
really get the music bug until I was about 12 also. And
Okay.
pretty much just my mom and dad bought me a bass. I just started playing it in the basement with my brother, who played Smoke on the Water for like 10 hours in the basement. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And, being from Detroit, working, like, you guys know, my dad just put me to work right away at the, like 2 weeks later after I was playing, he put me on a gig with him. So I was playing gigs, bought me a tuxedo, working 2, 3 nights a week on the weekends, and
Now, what
just
type of
kept
music were
working,
you playing with your
so
dad?
um
What type of music? Were you playing jazz?
say that one more time.
Were you playing jazz with your dad?
Well, when I first started, I mean, well, yeah, it was weddings, bar mitzvahs and parties and
Mhm.
stuff. So it was an accordion player and my dad playing drums. And so we would the first set would be jazz songs, and second set, and we were rocking on, songs with an accordion by the third, fourth set. So it was pretty hilarious. But yeah, it was pretty much rock and roll to start with because that's what I started with,
Okay.
listening to Rush and Chicago and Boston, all those kind of bands. And it just kind of, like I tell everybody, when my dad got me on the gig, I go, Dad, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know what this instrument does. I appreciate you hiring me, but I mean, I don't want to make a fool of me and you. And he goes, there's two rules. He goes, just listen to Harry, the accordion player, and just listen to the music and play what you feel. And then the second thing, and most importantly, whenever I point to you, go to the bar and bring me back a beer. So that was the
And he
rule.
paid you.
That was
And he
it.
paid you well too,
And,
right?
and
And he
we
paid you
were
well.
making $50 a night for a 12-year-old kid. You might as well stock up the house, but it was pretty great. So it was kind of a baptism in fire of just learning tons of different styles of music and just not even knowing that it was happening because it was so fast, So,
Right.
and my mom and dad brought us up listening to jazz, and they took us to see Stan Kenton and Maynard and Doc Ellis and all these great Doc Ellis,
Oh, what?
Don Ellis.
Yeah.
Doc Ellis was the pitcher who threw a perfect
Yeah.
game on Right? Did you ever hear that story about Doc Ellis,
Yeah.
the pitcher from the Pirates?
Fred used to be
That's a whole.
Okay. Yeah.
bat boy for
Yeah.
Chicago when he was a
Oh
kid.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
right
was a
on.
bat boy for the White Sox in the mid 70s. Yeah. So I
Right
saw it
on.
all. I saw it all.
That's I bet. But yeah, so basically just coming from a musical family, it really helped out a lot. And then one thing kind of led to another in Detroit, and started playing with jazz bands and rock bands and our own bands and stuff. So it was just kind of a whole blowing up kind of a thing.
You know, and
So
then
then you're pretty
Menard
much,
Ferg-
I'm sorry, are you pretty much self-taught then on bass?
Yeah, I mean, my first lesson, I remember I went to a guy named Joe Sloan, and that my mom got me my first lesson, and she was smart enough to know that if I got right into reading, that I'd probably get bored and quit. So she hooked me up with this guy who was a guitar player,
yeah.
and we just went in the room, and he just started jamming. He started playing Midnight Hour, and he was singing it, and I was right next to him, just going do 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 for like an hour, and he was reeking of pot. He was just there. He's probably 20 years old and just a great guy, but he was digging just playing with a bass player for an hour and soloing, and I was just playing the same thing over for an hour. And it just hit me that this is just making music. My mom and dad were smart enough to make me play music with people right away to keep interested,
Mhm.
instead of,
That
and
is smart.
then later on getting into reading and doing other stuff.
So you get in, you're playing with Menard Ferguson, you and your brother.
Yes.
What a
Yeah.
great
Put
education.
this back thing here so we can.
No worries. What
Yeah.
a great education
Yeah.
just
I was
there.
in, Yeah, I was in college. I was in my third year at North Texas, and I was realizing that I was in the orchestra playing the upright with the bow and everything, and I wasn't that good at it. And I knew my time was limited on that, so I was going to go to PE and just be a gym coach or something like that. And then
Mhm.
Maynard called me for the gig, and immediately just left school and just started touring. I was like 19 years old, and it was a crazy experience because it was just a bunch of older guys on a Greyhound bus, just driving from gig to gig every night. And it was one of the best lessons I could have ever asked for, to be around that much and great musicians, and
Oh yeah,
playing with people
absolutely.
that were playing with people that are better than you is the greatest education. As hard as it is, it forces you to get better. So,
Yeah,
Well,
it
what
brings out
what
your
makes someone
best.
a genius is it's not the person, it's the people they have around them.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and
So yeah, I mean, that's the main thing I always tell students and stuff, that or people that are trying to play, is just don't play with your buddies in the basement that are not as good as you. Just find the really good players and just get your butt kicked, and learn
yeah,
stuff.
when I was back in the band days, I always thought it was a weird thing when people got mad if you jammed with someone else. It's like, dude, you're not my girlfriend. What are you talking? You know what I'm saying? Like it never made sense to me. Like I
Yeah,
could
what
bring something back, or they could bring something back. Just crazy. But the first time I saw you live was with
yeah,
David Lee Roth,
musicians are.
and so you go to Dave.
Oh wow.
So and you and your brother, and you know, I've probably done 20 hours of content on Van Halen, and Dave's my favorite entertainer.
Yeah.
And I have to say,
Oh
Van Halen, I talk about this all the time. The reason why Van Halen was different, everyone else was coming through the blues through England and then back into American rock, but Van Halen and Dave came from jazz. So you got a whole different thing. You got a lot more boogie woogie. That to me is what I saw, and that's what kind of separated out Van Halen from the guys. So it made perfect sense that both you and your brother were playing with Dave because you had an immediate understanding beyond the
well,
surface.
yeah. Sorry, I keep moving around here. I'm trying to find the best place on the bus. I'm in the bus right now for everybody at home. We're just
That's
yeah, man.
awesome.
That was the best thing about Dave, was another guy that always wanted to stretch the boundary of not just playing just the Van Halen stuff. He wanted, we'd be playing steel drums, steel timpani drums, and we did Gigolo. That was a big
Yeah.
stretch that
Steel drums
normal
were
people
really
wouldn't.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
falling. Yes,
yeah.
I'm falling. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so yeah, just playing with him and seeing how entertainment works, because Dave was just trying something different every night. And the craziest thing for me was when he would start whipping around the poles and stuff, and I'm playing, and the poles like right by my head, It was amazing that nobody died. It's amazing.
Right.
I envision David as like Robin Williams, always on, never off. Is that it, or does he have some downtime?
Oh yeah, he's just a normal, normal guy as much as normal Dave is. He is the way he is, but I know that he's a very, very smart man, and he
Incredibly.
has his pensive moments and his,
Yeah.
just he's a very smart guy and a very wise entertainer. He's still doing it. Still amazing.
Yeah, he was just at M3 in Maryland, I think, over the summer, and our friend of mine went to it and said, I said, how was he? And he said, David Lee, how could you go wrong? He's
Yeah.
David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen
And
Dave every tour since 1984. And I hope to get to see the casino show in Indiana that he's doing, but I've seen every time. So I've seen you play, your brother play a bunch of times. So
yeah,
I mean, then
yeah.
I mean the people you played with after that. So you play with Steve Vai, not too shabby, and then Jason Becker, and then man, what a story! What a brilliant guy. I mean, for the amount of time that he was in the public eye, man, you shine that bright.
Yeah.
And Dave always had
He was amazing, man.
Yeah. And Dave always had a knack
Yeah, I
of finding
remember
talented people.
Yeah, he had a lot of guys audition and come and play in in Dave's basement, and I remember Jason sending an audition tape, and it was just this crazy young guy just playing crazy stuff, and we got together really quick, and we wrote a bunch of songs, and then we went up to Vancouver and did the record, and then Jason, unfortunately, I remember we were playing catch in Dave's backyard with a football, and I remember Jason kind of felt a pinch on his leg. And Dave was like, Dave's dad's a doctor, and he checked it out, and it just happened fast, And I just remember we were staying at a hotel doing the record in Vancouver, and Jason had to give himself shots to get through it and stuff. I remember his door was open, and I just remember him sitting there with a needle going, I gotta, and then Steve Hunter was out with us, who just happened to be a registered nurse, and playing rhythm guitar and stuff, and he would help Jason out a lot. It was just really. It just happened so fast, and I just went to see him a couple years ago, and he's still doing his thing, man. He's still functioning with his eyes with his dad. I remember his dad and him showed him how they do this chart where they can speak to each other. The guy is an amazing man.
Yeah, so. He's writing music visually with his onboard computer, and I mean the brilliant
inspiration.
Wow, a filter.
What an inspiration. That's a shame when you hear stuff like that.
And speaking of
health, well, he's making the most of it. Yeah.
Speaking of health, yesterday Steve Miller Band just announced that they canceled the entire tour due to possible severe weather. Now, Fred, when we went and saw Quiet Riot last year at Bratfest, and Rudy's up there, Rudy Sars was up there, 73 years old, 74, whatever. And it was so damn, I mean, it's not like hot, like it was hot in the 90s, And I'm like, man, they got to start doing these summer for the people who are more in the vintage category, maybe move this inside and do it during the winter months because, I mean, there's some serious, health can cause, heat can cause some serious health issues. And I think it's great that the artists now have the power.
We've been like that. Yeah, we've been playing a lot of sheds, the outside gigs in the summer, and sometimes the humidity, you think you're going to drop, and you're looking at the poor people in the crowd that are even hotter, and you're kind of taking, people get wheeled out sometimes just because it's a crazy thing, but it's just amazing that music is happening, period, after COVID. The fact that people are coming out to shows, so it's
absolutely,
it's a blessing.
Like what a great day for music last week with Back to the Beginning. $190 million raised for charity. That's going to be the largest sounding gong across corporate, entertainment companies going, that music's still viable? Well, duh. All music is.
Well, I keep thinking I'm 64 years old, going to be 64 next week, and I'm just thankful to still be playing music. I'm glad that there's live venues and we're all still here, and It's a shame about Steve Miller's thing, because I know Ron Wixow, the drummer. I'm sure
Yeah.
that he's bumming out about that.
Yeah, you guys played together, didn't you? Or did he? I was watching an interview with both you guys on there. I can't remember.
We've played a lot together, different bands over the years. I've known him for a long time. Great guy, great drummer.
And then you're playing with Joe Satriani, Brian Wilson, Don Henley, Julian Lennon, Steve Perry, Ty Tabor, Peter Frampton, Jeff Lynne, Boz Scaggs, who was connected to our Chicago boy Steve Miller, and Elton John for 12 years.
Yeah, still ongoing. We still do one-offs every once in a while. Every couple of months we'll do a gig, and still connected with those guys. It's it's been
Okay,
a blessing, man. I can't
audience, imagine you get a phone call and you get hired for the Elton John gig. 3 hours of material. What, you had a week and a half for that anxiety attack to pass?
Yeah, I was out on the road with Rick Springfield in Vancouver, and they called me, and it was kind of like, you got to get this together in a couple, a week or whatever. And I was going to write out all the charts. I had a couple of friends write all the charts, and then I'm going, I'm never going to be able to see this and be able, So I just walked around Stanley Park, the big park up in Vancouver, and just played the show, the 3 hour show over and over. Probably walked around 10 hours and just tried to memorize it. And that's crazy music to memorize, because, Elton writes words. I mean, he writes his music to Bernie's words, and
Yeah.
they don't really follow music script. There's extra bars and extra time things, and it's not something that you just have to listen to it a lot. And fortunately I had enough time to do it, and it worked out.
Yeah, because the time changes our work, because it's not like they're writing to a click.
Oh no, never.
Like, you got some weird what was it? You're talking about weird signatures in this one song that you didn't know it until you played it. Because it was that well hidden within the structure of the song.
Well, that's a sign of a good writer, like a John Lennon, that maybe he's not even aware. I don't know, maybe he was aware about what the time signature is doing. And poor Ringo's just trying to probably count it off and trying to make musical sense of it. But the way the lyric goes, it doesn't have to be in 4, it doesn't have to be in 3. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And Elton didn't do a lot of weird time signatures, but he did have a lot of extra bar phrases that would go over to fit Bernie's lines, So
Right.
it's just a different way to write. I mean, when you're writing to the words, I mean, it's a crazy place to start, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And they being, of course, one of the most successful songwriting duos of all time.
Absolutely.
And so I have to ask, because I can't even imagine what it must have felt like to be in the room for Elton's final show, much less being 3 feet from him. Like that, the feeling, the vibe you're getting from Elton, the vibe you're getting from the audience, the other band members. Now, Elton John loomed large in my house growing up. The first memory I have is me being dressed up as Elton John on tile boxes on the landing, doing a show for my whole family. So my sisters go to see Elton John for the final tour, right? My sister Jill never been to a show. So that's the first one. So they don't know to get there on a certain time. They get there, it's late, they can't find their seats, and something happened, and someone from Elton's team go, "Hey, come this way," and they put him in like second row.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's my sister's 70th birthday today. So if you could wish Debbie and the girls a little, that would be great.
Debbie, girls, happy birthday. 70 is a good young age. Gonna be there
right on
someday.
They'll be gushing for years now over that. But I mean, I can't even imagine what the emotion.
It was definitely bittersweet at the end. I was talking to somebody the other day about the last show, because we did Dodger Stadium and filmed the show, and then we actually went back to Europe and finished up there. So when the last show hit, I think it was kind of like it hit everybody that they talked about this farewell tour for so long, and then it's like the day you die. You don't think it's going to happen, and all of a sudden there it is. So when it happened, it kind of it was hey there. it was kind of a weird. It was kind of like it's honest now, and this is the last show. So I remember walking up to the stage, and all the crew guys and all the people were lined up against the wall, and everybody was just crying. And that's the night I think Elton got the most. Like he realized this is it, because
Right.
they had been threatening retirement for so long, and now it's really happening. So it was pretty surreal to see that it was upon us, and it was gonna not go on anymore. So it hit him pretty hard, I think, too. But
I
he,
mean,
he was ready. He was ready to go.
always an incredible band, Of course, you're there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what could go wrong?
right. Absolutely. But you also get to play with Ringo, and that was cool. I saw your brother last year with the Ringo Starr All-Star Band, and
Oh,
I
wow.
watched stuff online, and Matt, he got the Roth gig because he was outside and he was making his notes, and when he came in, he kind of knew what was going on, and Dave kind of relaxed.
Well, I think Dave was impressed with Greg writing charts, because probably had never seen anybody really do that before, especially a drummer writing out bars and phrases, and every singer wants to have a drummer set up their vocals with a fill and know where the song is. And that's one thing for sure. Greg always plays, and when we record, he always plays for the song, for the singer, to make the singer shine. So it
Right.
was Dave
And
was
when you're
smart.
playing with a family member, there's a certain extra thing that you get that you don't get with other people. Whatever that
Absolutely.
thing is, it's the heartbeat that you both grew in the womb of something. There's a
Yeah.
different connection
Yeah.
there. And that's always great.
Well, we've one of our things that we like is that when we work for people, it kind of saves them money, because we've played together so much that we can tell what we're going to do. So it kind of saves the producer money, because we'll kind of brother stuff where it just cuts through the stuff, it saves
Yeah.
time. So
And if you guys want to see an example of that, go on YouTube, and there's like a 6.5-minute song where they do exactly what he's talking about, and you guys
that's right.
go through about 6 to 8 different
Yeah.
setups of beat, and then you figure out your sound, and boom, you're good to go.
You've done your research, you guys are my best friends.
Well, it's all about loving the music, man. We respect the people who play it, and we're just glad to be able to talk to them and spread the word, because there's no marketing for anybody anymore.
Yeah, got that right.
Which is crazy. Brian Wilson, we just passed. How was playing with Brian? Was that just studio?
I mean, it was just in the studio one day up in LA. I was warming up playing, and guy comes and taps me on the arm, and I look up, and it's Brian Wilson. He goes, "I play bass too." And I go, "Oh, yeah, I know you do." So he was just such a nice guy. He was just a great guy.
I'd have been, God only knows.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what? The other day, my son plays baseball. He's on the Kansas City Monarchs. Speaking of baseball, and Brian Wilson had just passed a day before, and my son got hit in the head by a fastball, and he went down on the ground. And I'm thinking, I'm here. Like, as a dad, I wanted to run on the field, but then the organist immediately goes into "God only knows what I'd be with," and I'm going, "What are you playing that song for?" And I ran up to the organist. I go, "What are you doing? My son's on the ground. Why would you play that song?" It's so funny, man. It just happened last week. Like,
that is crazy. And after he died, I don't, a buddy of mine, Ray, was one of his tour managers, stage managers for the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, depending on what was going out.
Right.
And Brian was a really interesting guy, for sure. But I did a huge deep dive into the Beach Boys, and I grew up listening to them. And then in the later years, sometimes depending on what, if Brian wasn't there, sometimes it kind of became loungy, and I don't mean that in an insult way. And but when Brian was there, oh my goodness, everyone was on 3 pegs up. But just to listen to the vocals were a symphony unto itself. Like, just revisiting, because when you listen in your historical head, but when you go back and you break everything down again,
pretty bizarre.
Wow.
Well, every band needs that ringleader guy, that guy that just sparks the whole thing, and he was the guy. I mean, he was the guy that the genius behind the whole thing. I mean, they were all talented guys, but
Yeah.
every band needs to have that guy, that one guy, you know.
Yeah, and it was really cool because you could see, you know, his progression as his personal things took a hold of him at certain times, and
Yeah.
and then of course
Yeah.
his health issues, and so
Yeah.
there was this one clip that was really funny. He's playing for Ronald Reagan at the White House or something, and they got time to play 2 extra songs, and all you can hear is him screaming, "Time to play the song!" Like in front of the president.
Oh,
He was like
oh
ready.
no. Oh boy. Oh boy.
When
He
you
had a
walk into a
colorful life.
situation, when you walk into a situation like that, of course, you're hired because you're a professional. You know what to do, and you know not your place, but where you fit in the pieces of the puzzle. So when you get a gig like that, was there preconceived notions of what you're supposed to bring as far as gear, or do you show up, you know, 3 bases, 5 bases?
I always overcompensate on the bass part. I mean, because I think that a bass sound kind of defines what a song is going to end up in the very end. So I always try and bring a couple of different P basses, a couple jazz basses, a fretless, like a Hofner bass, and just
Mhm.
different sounds, because you never know. Like sometimes I'd forget my fretless, and then I'd get there and the guy goes, "Did you bring your fretless?" And I'd be like, so I always bring as much as I can, because you can never have too many sounds. But yeah, I try and show up with whatever I can and be prepared for any style. And just, you know, the hardest part for me sometimes is meeting my heroes, you know, people that I've listened to, and just try not to be, you know, starstruck, and just try and keep a normal
Yeah.
conversation without. And then you get in
Yeah.
the car you get in the car at the end, and you just kind of go, that just happens, you know, it's pretty cool.
Like I would love to have seen the look on both your and Greg's face what your first time together rehearsing with Ringo. You had to, you know,
Yeah.
just that look you gave each other
Well, a
as
guy like Ringo, yeah, Ringo kind of made it easy. Ringo made it easy on us because I went to shake his hand and he hugged me. He goes, "I only give hugs." And he just kind of, once you kind of earn Ringo's trust, it's like a so
yeah.
just a guy.
Yeah. Speaking of Ringo, so there's a
There's Brian, our drummer.
hey, what's going on, Brian?
Hi, Brian.
You're on an
What's
interview right now on Zoom.
Hi. Just
I liked it.
so what do you
We're
think of
roadmen, man. We're
Abbey Road? I guess was it Studio A? They just remodeled. Like they put a
Yeah.
new soundboard in and everything. I'm like, oh my god, did they take out the floor? You know, did they, you know, wall panels? Like, what a scary endeavor to even touch anything. Like that's like building a new wall at Muscle Shoals, you know, down in Muscle.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but that's pretty touchy ground right there. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be that
Yeah.
guy.
I was
Whoever's in charge of
literally,
that.
you know.
Yeah, and while we're on the Beatles, you're one of the probably the only guests we've had on that has actually got to see the Beatles live. You saw them back in 66, 67, back in Detroit.
60.
How amazing
Yeah.
that must have been. You were probably 12-ish at the time or so?
No, I think I was about
14?
five. About
Oh
five, I
shit.
think. I
Way
was
back. Yeah.
so yeah, my dad was playing at a club, and the Beatles were staying there, and he goes, "Hey," to the manager of the hotel, "Can I get a couple of those Beatle tickets?" And he goes, "Well, they're going to cost you. They're like $5." And he goes, "Okay, well, I'll take 5 of them." So he brought us all to go see him, and we drove down there. And I don't remember much about it because I was so young, but all I really remember was Paul sitting down and playing "Yesterday" on the acoustic guitar. That was about the only thing I could hear, because it was just screaming
Right.
nonstop, you know. So
Yeah, and that was at the old Cobo Hall, I think you said it was. So
that was at Olympia, the old Red
Olympia,
Wings
yeah,
hockey
yeah,
place.
with Red Wings, yeah. So there's probably 20-some thousand people
Yeah,
there, and like you said,
yeah,
everybody's screaming and you can't hear anything.
yeah.
What a
I
great
remember.
experience that must have been to say you saw them.
It was unbelievable. I remember going to Olympia to see Chicago play, and I remember Terry Kath was playing with his Chicago Blackhawk uniform on,
Yeah,
just going,
yeah,
that's pretty gutsy to wear that in the hockey place for Detroit. The guy's
Right.
pretty sped.
yeah.
Little Chicago Transit.
Yeah, another great underrated guitar player, Terry Kath. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Rick
So
Springfield. Your resume is just insane. Rick Springfield, that guy. I wish I was in that good a shape at 30. Holy moly, good for him.
Yeah, he works hard at it, and he's a hardworking guy, and
Yeah.
he keeps up on it. So God bless him. Good role model.
Absolutely, man. He keeps on, keeps on booking shows. He's always been, cool in interviews and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm a fan of him.
Great guy.
And I've always said I'd like to take songs that are not metal at all. As you can see, I'm a metalhead, so big into heavy metal. And I always think what a great some songs that aren't metal would make metal. And Jesse's Girl always tops my list. I'd love to hear a metal band do a cover of that.
That's a
I
good
just think
idea.
that's one of those songs that could really just crank it out.
A good song you can play in any kind of thing and it'll only get better. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Right.
Absolutely. So then, of course, you played with the REO Speedwagon and now the Kevin Cronin band, another huge machine band, massive fan base. Everyone knows your songs. I mean, the amount of music that people have sung back to you on stage is mind-blowing.
It's pretty fun to play with this band. Of course, I had nothing to do with any of their songs or anything like that, but I've kind of jumped on board here, and it is amazing to me to see people in the crowd, like when we play Take It on the Run and they start singing the choruses, and you've got people that are crying because it shoots them back to that time they were driving their car with their 8-track. And it is an amazing thing, the power of music, what it does to people, man. I mean, it's like, I do the same thing when I go see bands that I love and they play that song that I know.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's important for artists to play that song, those big songs, just like the record, because it just, not to riff out and go crazy on it, but to play that song like it's you're listening to it in your car when you're a kid. It is amazing to see people react.
Yeah.
With all the different bands work.
We've had that discussion on this show before because music is such a universal language. Everybody's got a song or two that really means something to their heart or a time in their life, maybe whatever, with your parents, your girlfriend, something. And if you hear it, you just kind of stop in your tracks and go, oh shit. That's a beautiful thing about music. There's just, someone's got a song or two.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Take Hold of the Flame by Queensryche, I'd be dead. Literally, I had to sleep in my car when I was 17 years old for an entire Chicago winter. And the last song I would listen to was that. And then the first song, when I woke up, knew I wasn't dead. I listened to it again because winters can get pretty tough up here.
Oh, and, a little bit.
So the meaning of a song, and so far I've thanked everyone in the band except Jeff Tate personally, and one of the members was like, "Oh, well, it's better now." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's better now. Here's my son. I'm just wanted to thank you.
Right.
I didn't want to take time away from you, but thanks a lot. I appreciate it. If it wasn't for you,
we got to get Jeff on just so you can tell him that. So
but people have that certain thing. They play that song like "Oobla Dee Oobla Da" came on 5 months after my brother died, and when they said "Life Goes On, Brah," whoosh.
Oh yeah,
I thought I was past that, but now that song, it always had a special place. But now it's got even a more special place. But that's the power of music, man.
Oh, yeah. Power of music. My dad loved Frank Sinatra. My dad's been gone for 45 years now, 46 years. And every time I hear a Sinatra song come on, it brings me back to a kid. My dad would throw on Strangers in the Night to 45. He loved it. So, like I said, there's that. It's just such an incredible bond. And I go to a lot of concerts. I still do. And you just see it. The people there, they're jiving, they're singing along, they're dancing. It's just amazing. You don't get it like I used to at sporting events. I used to get into it a lot with sporting events. Music just seems to bring out more people. It brings you together.
Music and sports, man, there's a lot of similarities, and thank God they're still going.
So
we can backtrack for a minute. You said your son is with the Kansas City Monarchs. That's currently.
Yeah, he got drafted. He got drafted by the Pirates, and he was in AAA for a couple of years, and then he wanted to play more, play shortstop more. So he he joined the Kansas City Monarchs. He's been on that for about a year and a half. So
Oh, so that's
a
not a
lot,
minor league affiliate. That's
it's an independent association kind of a league kind of thing.
okay.
So,
Okay.
but a lot of players coming in and out, and it's fun to watch. It's really, really good baseball.
Yeah, cool. Speaking of fun to watch, have you seen the Savannah Bananas? Have you seen
Oops,
those, that team?
what
The
oh, the Savannah
Savannah
they
Banana. Have you
came
seen them?
they came out to our show last year, and we all hung out after. Man, those guys are crazy.
Oh my
Crazy.
God. They're
Yeah.
like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
They
So
Well,
sell
very
out
talented.
30,000,
Yeah.
40,000 seat
Yeah.
stadiums.
So let's talk about one of the
It's kind
best
of crazy.
band names I've ever heard, the Squirts. Dude.
Can I just say this
What do you
real quick
say? What do
about
you
the
say?
Squirts? That's your latest project, and your label is a power pop trio. But I absolutely love your press description that says, "Okay, first off, get your mind out of the gutter. As far as the name is concerned, the band is referring to kids in the Little Rascal era. Simple as that. If you're a certain
Yeah.
age, you remember that children were often referred to as squirts." I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
explanation.
The Squirts. I was actually thinking more of it was diarrhea, but because my Uncle
And,
Bill,
well,
that's what I was thinking of, right? And then you said Little Rascals, and that's even funnier because he turned down being in the Little Rascals, my Uncle Bill.
oh man, well, that could have been a good move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most likely.
those
Hal Roach
poor,
and that.
yeah. Well, yeah, the Squirts is it's just a band that we put together when we used to open up for Rick Springfield. We would be playing in Rick's band, and then Rick graciously
Yeah.
let us open up for him. So
Oh,
we
right
just
on.
did a couple of records and selling stuff, hats and T-shirts and stuff. And Rick was great about that. And yeah, so don't put the Squirts in your browser, because we're not responsible for what comes up,
Yeah.
because it's all over the map. But it really is legitimately about a bunch of older guys like us trying to stay young and being simple-minded and try and stay young. So we're the Squirts. So we're 64 years
Yes.
old and we're still Squirts.
I saw the video for the clowns with all the clowns in there. That's a fun little video. So you sing
Yeah.
on that. You're the vocalist on that with that band.
Yep.
So you picked
Yes.
up the bass at a very early age. At what point did you realize, hey, I can sing too?
When I got to college, a friend of mine let me use his studio, and I remember putting the headphones on and then singing something and then double tracking it. And I kind of went, that's what the Beatles do. That's that sound. I kind of fell in love with that sound, and then started singing harmonies, and like Queen and all the Freddie Mercury harmonies, and just hearing how that works. So I just started singing in college and just kept going. And I mean, it's one of those things as a bass player that if you want to work, you kind of have to sing. It's kind of a big, as
Part
a
of it.
tool that you got to have that. So most of the gigs I get, it's because I'm a singing bass player. So, but I really love singing our own stuff and writing words and producing stuff, and it's just a blast to be able to do that for fun and
Yeah.
put out records. So
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
nothing worse than going to see a band play, and then there's no background vocals at the live show. Like,
right.
I've been to 2 shows like that. I was like, what is going on? Like, have
Yeah, it's kind of like
background.
it's not that I'm a fan of like playing with tracks or whatever, but it is disappointing if you go see a band that prides itself on its harmonies and there's
Yeah.
no harmonies. It's
Right.
kind of like, why am I here? So whatever you got to do to get that there, if you have to
Right.
play with a computer or just get more guys in the band, to sing. But yeah, with the Squirts, we try, we have 3 of us. So obviously we put a little bit things on when we play live, just so that it's that experience and that you're not missing those things, because it's a bummer. When I go hear Paul McCartney and he plays a Beatles song, I want to hear those harmonies, and they do them, because they can all sing great. So
Right.
yeah, but singing is the coolest thing. I love it. It's awesome. So that's my favorite
Yeah.
thing.
Jason and I, who's not here today, we were trained by Eddie Mashal, who was the sound engineer for the Eagles, and he won 5 Grammys with them. So we were, both musicians and everything, but to learn from the guy who knew how to separate everything like that, like they should, I think in music school, they should teach you the Beach Boys, study the Beach Boys, study the Eagles production, because it was just so different than anything else.
Yeah, I think music schools, and I think they are doing this, but they're in the new world, is just kind of going. Everybody needs to get a studio. Everybody needs to play bass, guitar, keyboards, drums. You just need to take every tool you can to make it in this music world, because it's so small now for making money and making a living. So definitely music schools should be teaching people how to use computers and how to record and,
Yeah.
make
You know,
your
and
own music.
I think of you as one of the elite guys who go out, not in attitude, but you're one of the top players. You play with the big guys, and that's your gig and a great gig to have, but you play with legends. So what does it feel like now after COVID touring? What's changed post COVID?
I really thought that COVID was going to be it, and when Daryl's Garage was going on, and everyone's having fun doing the
Collabs?
location shots. Yeah, and I was just kind of going, well, I thought that was it. So I'm nothing but shocked and happy. When we did the farewell tour, we were tested every day for COVID, getting the thing up your nose, and it was a drag, but they figured it out, and they got out there, and kind of everybody was paved the way to keep music going. So thank God it's still going, because what a depressing world that would be, to be just online music.
Yeah, and I mean, for the average ticket buyer, they don't know that 35% of the crew guys retired, moved on to different vocations. They have no idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or they have no
Right.
idea that the prices of the trucks have tripled, diesel's up.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to go out because no one was out for 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
And
Yeah,
and
it
with
just
the
takes
older,
a lot. It takes a lot more work.
yeah, and with the older acts too, like people don't realize when you're in a huge machine, that could be a 3 to 5 year business cycle from time you start writing and last show of
Right.
the world tour.
Well, and I think some of
Yeah.
the guests we've had before that said that when they were shut down during COVID, they were just creating more music. And then when COVID finally started breaking, they were like, I got to get out there. I got all this material I wrote and songs I got in me. I got to get out
Yeah.
there. They started getting back out there.
What's your favorite
Yeah. Well,
recording
hopefully,
experience?
my favorite recording experience.
Yeah, what
I
was
don't
the
know.
most fun?
I think it's always the most fun when it's your own stuff. When you're writing your own songs and your own lyrics. I mean, I've had tons of great experiences recording with people that I've looked up to, and
Yeah.
that's always. I mean, they just are amazing experiences, but there's still nothing to me like writing your own songs and seeing them come from point A to point B. We have this show online called the Song in a Day show, where we wake up in the morning, my brother and I and my friend Paul Dexter, and it's a 24-hour show that you start waking up, going to Starbucks and talking about, here, we're going to write a song about this. And then throughout the day, you meet musicians and you go to studios. And by the end of the day, it has to be mixed and done. So it's kind of like Seinfeld meets Friends, or whatever, kind of a TV show. That's a lot of fun because so it's called the Song in a Day show. It's on YouTube. And that's kind of like, exercising muscles and writing songs, because you have to, you have to do something today from point A to point B. And there's nothing worse than starting a song and not finishing it. You should finish everything you start. So
Right.
that's kind of the point of that show. So
That's awesome.
Check that out.
I watch Matt, I watch your brother Greg all the time. I attempt to play the drums. So,
yeah.
and he's really cool. Once you start listening, he's got great stories. His energy is just great. And I can totally I mean, the job that he has for the Ringo Starr Band is massive. Like, people, it's not just playing drum. There's a lot going on there, and all the players. You have to be a top-notch guy to go from that song to Africa, or to, people don't understand that was one of the best show. What Ringo does with his gang of guys is fantastic, man. So I got to see Ringo once with you, and then once, and then again last year with your brother, and then I saw both you guys with David Lee, and man, it's just so. You've been so close to all these people. What's the one thing that you've taken away or that you've learned from these big guys that they maybe haven't told you, but you're like, that's why they're that person?
Well, I could safely say with each one of those guys, whether it's Dave or Joe Satriani or Boss Skaggs or Kevin out here and Maynard and all these different guys, the thing is that there's a lot of guys like me that kind of write songs and try and be a rock star or try and come off like we're like this writer or whatever. But it's really, I'm kind of like a little bit of everything where I'm not like that guy. These guys, like a guy like Elton, that's who he is. He's a rock star. He's always been a rock star. It's not like he's acting like a rock star.
Right.
Kind of is. Rick Springfield, he kind of is. And they're the real deal guys that I go, why didn't our band get signed? I go, well, probably because we weren't that. They have that certain thing. And then when things don't work out, they kick it to another level and make it work, and they're
Right.
career driven, and that's the thing. I never really had that. I don't think I want that myself, but I respect these guys for doing it. So when you see it, you kind of go, it's like a baseball player that can hit a ball 7,000 feet or can throw the ball 100 miles an hour. Certain people are just that way, and
Yeah.
I tip my hat and I go, God bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the
sure.
younger guys and ladies starting out, they now know they can have a 50-year career. Now they may not be playing their originals, they may be playing covers, and there's that whole thing like with local musicians. Oh, you're in a yeah, that's what's paying, man. That's what. Are you a professional musician?
Right.
That's what musicians do. They play. So
Right.
get the gig, whatever.
Exactly. Get
Like,
the gig and get the gig and keep the gig. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
no one wants to hear your 17-minute version of that 2-minute song you wrote in 1983. Like they want to
Exactly.
hear Free Bird and whatever and dance with their old lady.
Exactly.
As we used to call them back in the day. I don't mean old ladies, but now they are. But
hold on one second.
yeah.
They're telling me we got to go do a sound check or something.
You got it. All right.
Okay,
Thank you very much,
All
Matt.
right.
Sorry.
You've been great. Thank you, sir.
Guys,
We
great.
appreciate. Thank you for all the.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for all the music. Thanks for
Thank
being
you, guys.
a cool family. Rock on. And we'll
You
talk
guys are my new best friends.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, buddy. We'll see you
Thank
next
you,
time.
guys. Take care, man. All right,
Bye-bye.
buddy. See you.
You too. Bye.
That was awesome. And that was Mr. Matt Bissonette.
So get the Squirts album, check it out.
Yeah.
And my God, you can catch Matt on anything. He's part of the Friends Sound theme song.
Yeah.
Just shoot me. I mean, the guy's got his hand in everything. What a talent.
Absolutely. Very, very cool guy. And I'm glad he thank you, Matt, for squeezing us in after
Yeah.
sound check and or before sound check and doing what you had to do.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
Because a lot of people would have said we'll do it another day.
Yeah,
But
right.
right on. That was Mr. Matt Bissonette. That means we are one step closer to Dave. I want to say Dave, that's David Lee Roth.
That will be my Christmas present to you this year. I'm gonna wrap him up and tie a bow and present him to you.
Is to interview David Lee Roth would be my dream guest. But anyway,
So David, if you're out there, come on anytime.
I know you're out there, Dave, and we know that you watch, and we appreciate it, and we love you, and we love all these bands. Just look at this: Jason, Joe Satriani, Brian Wilson, Don Henley, Julian Lennon, Steve Perry, Ty Tabor, David Lee Roth, Peter Frampton, Ringo Starr, Jeff Lynne, Elton John. Oh, I didn't get him a Jeff Lynne question. The list goes on and on and on and on. Go listen to his music, and you can't. I mean, look at that. Elton playing notes on your bass. You're having a good time. And of course, there he is with the David Lee Roth band, rocking the shades. Him flanked with
What a
Dave
cool
Weiss.
band. Cool. Man, he's been with them all.
Absolutely. So yeah, go buy local music, go see local music, but most of all, keep listening. Fred, got any last words, brother?
Horns up, and everybody have a great rest of the weekend. And tell your friends all about Creativity Talking. And we're not going anywhere. We're only getting better.
Right on. All right. See you on the next side of the album.